10 signs of a lonely marriage. Madam, may I tell you that many people are married, but they are lonely. That's why it's very important for you to know how to make yourself happy in order for you to avoid being lonely in your marriage. It's very important for you to watch this video from beginning to the end. The moment you notice this in your marriage, please do all your best to stop it because it may ruin your marriage and it may lead to divorce. But before we continue, I want to ask you, have you support your big sister by like this video, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, put in the comments your takeaway and share to friends that will benefit from our videos. Number one, lack of quality time. May I tell you, especially in this era of social media, that husband and wives are living like roommates inside one house, inside one roof. Often and often, I have seen couples holding their gadgets, their phones so tight, scrolling up and down without talking to each other for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. The only thing they share is, oh, the food is ready, oh, good night. My dear, if you notice that you don't spend a quality time with your spouse, may I tell you that is a sign of a lonely marriage because you just spend time with internet, with social media, but not with your spouse. Number two, lack of physical intimacy. In as much as marriage is concerned, it's very important that you and your spouse make time to enjoy yourself, have physical intimacy. I have heard so many people that said, oh, I can stay with my husband many months without physical touching, without physical intimacy. Whenever your marriage lacks this physical touch, physical intimacy, may I tell you that it's a lonely marriage. Another sign of lonely marriage is lack of trust. If you can't trust your spouse, if you can't share secret tips to your spouse, my dear, your marriage is lonely. I don't need to preach anything about it. In as much as you look at your spouse and you feel like this one, I will not trust him. This one, I do not believe in him. Is a sign of lonely marriage. Another sign of lonely marriage is whenever you notice that you and your spouse are doing your own thing. What did I mean by your own thing? You never carry each other along. You pray differently. You eat differently. You go to different places. Like everybody is doing his or her own thing. My dear, you don't need someone to preach to you that this is a lonely marriage. Never you ever involve yourself or allow your marriage to fall into that victim of do your own thing. The moment you do your own things, you are destroying your marriage. As a husband and wife, you need to do life together, pray together, play together, bath together, eat together, chat together, do everything together. Don't allow your marriage to experience loneliness even when two of you are living in the same roof. Another sign of lonely marriage is not speaking your spouse's love language. Yes, in as much as you do everything to your spouse, but you are not speaking his or her love language, may I tell you that your marriage will feel lonely? Because the truth is, whenever you speak the love language of your spouse, this increases the love and intimacy you have with one another. Let me give you example. There are some people, their love language is quality time or words of affirmation. If you buy bunch and bunch and bunch of gifts for these people, may I tell you, they will feel that their love tank is still empty. So if you don't speak the love language of your spouse, it's a sign of a lonely marriage. Another signs of lonely marriage is emotional distance. If you notice that your emotion and your husband or your wife emotion is not connected, may I tell you you that you are in a lonely marriage, because the truth is this: what you feel is not what he is feeling. You may be feeling down, feeling depressed, feeling disappointed, feeling so many things, but to him, he will feel like, oh, why are you behaving this way? Because he is not connected with your emotion. My dear, is a sign of lonely marriage. Another sign of a lonely marriage is if your husband or your wife does not remember your special days. Yes, what did I mean by special days? Special events like your birthday, anniversary, all those things that you remembered that makes your life to feel good. If he or she does not remember it or does not care about your special days, my dear, is a sign of lonely marriage. Do your best to communicate. Do your best to speak out. Don't allow this to ruin your marriage. Another sign of lonely marriage is lack of good communication. Yes. May I tell you that many marriages are suffering today because there is no good communication. It is one thing to say something and it is another thing to say it very well. There are so many spouses today that they don't communicate very well because they may end up misinterpreting, misunderstanding one another. I knew someone who never ever communicates with his wife. Anytime you want to do something, he will just come to inform his wife, not even to carry her along, but inform her. What did I mean by inform her? He will just say, oh, tomorrow I am going for business trip. He has already planned this business trip without even communicating with his wife. If you notice that your marriage is suffering from communication, do your best to stop it before it leads to another thing. Before we move on, I want to ask you, have you subscribed? Please don't forget to support your big sister by subscribing, like this video, and share in the comments your takeaway. Another sign of lonely marriage is when you and your spouse doesn't have the same interest and the same goal. I don't mean that your spouse should be doing the same thing you are doing, but there is something that husband and wife should do for each other. If you notice that your spouse is not interested in what you are doing, he will never ever even want to ask you, how are you doing this, or where can I support you? It's a sign that you are in a lonely marriage. So do your best to share interests together. A sign of lonely marriage is when your partner doesn't always agree in love. Whatever you say, however you say it, he or she must find excuses of not agreeing in love. If you notice that your partner never disagree in love, my dear, don't sit down and watch your marriage to sour. Do your best to stop those attitudes, to stop those behavior. The last but not the least is if your spouse is unable to listen to your feelings, to hear your feelings, to know what you are feeling, my dear, is a sign of lonely marriage. Because if you cannot easily, majestically walk to your spouse to tell him or her what you feel, what is disturbing you, it's a sign that this marriage is not working. Do your best to work on it. Don't fold your arms thinking that things will be okay. No, it is time for you to stand on your feet to make sure that you close all these gaps, that these things doesn't exist in your marriage. Thank you so much, my YouTube friends. We have come to the end of this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share in the comments your takeaway, and hit the notification button to know when we upload other videos. Thank you, and I will see you in another episode. Shalom.